Hey guys, welcome to BhoomiTalks. Today we have with us Sagar Kalra. He's a passionate climate advocate and a youth leader who has represented global youth voice at COP28, COP29, and the G20 Brazil. He leads impactful local initiatives such as the Mumbai chapter lead of Global Shapers and is project head of Echo Ever After and Climate Connect, while also contributing to platforms like the India Youth Climate Network and the Climate Reality Leadership Corps. From working with the World Economic Forum of Maharashtra's Plastic Roadmap to managing the Children and Youth Pavilion at COP29, he's committed to building a just, circular, and sustainable future. Hi, Sagar. Welcome to Bhumi Talks.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing today?
Um, it's been good so far. Like over a year right now, it's around like 2 o'clock. So I've just had lunch and yeah, can't wait to get into this and talk to you all as well.
That's great to hear. We're very excited for today's episode. So let's dive right in. Circular economy is gaining momentum globally. How do you see it being practically implemented?
I think to be honest, it's quite hard. Because on one side of circular economy, you have manufacturers, and on the other side, you kind of have consumers. So when it comes to manufacturers, I feel that, like, let's say, for example, Coca-Cola. We probably know a lot of people within our circle who consume Sprite, Thumbs Up, Coke, a can of Diet Coke. Considering that Coke is like the most popular brand, I think one of the things a manufacturer could kind of, if they actually are serious about circular economy and getting and recycling, is to kind of set up their own recycle bins around the city. I know it's a very tall ask, because for a manufacturer, then you're not really sure, right? Because when you get the recycled material back, will the recycled material be the same quality as a newly manufactured can or a newly manufactured plastic? As of right now, when it comes to plastic, if you recycle the material again, the material quality drops, which is why people are unlikely to use it again. Otherwise, then they mix. Like they'll have to use more plastic in order to manufacture the same bottle instead of using like nascent plastic. So, what manufacturers are doing is they are putting the onus on consumers to get the material back to them. So that is one issue. So I think there's something new in the circular economy space called extended producer responsibility, which is basically, let's say a Coke bottle is worth 40 rupees in India. Um, Out of that, you could say that maybe 5 rupees is a deposit. So if you as a consumer um, give the Coke bottle back to Coke, they have to give you $5. But as of right now, it's not strictly implemented in the city, nor is there any awareness around getting money back. So there's no incentive as well. The second thing when it comes to consumers, um, people don't care enough. I think that's one. And then the other thing also is like in my house itself, we use two dustbins. One is for wet and one is for dry waste. But for both of them, we use the same garbage bag color. So now, how is someone who is at the sorting end of it supposed to differentiate that this bag contains wet waste, this bag contains white, like dry waste, if both of them are like black in color or both of them are green in color? Because once they also, like, let's say they are able to figure it out some way, but um, when people pick it up from my house, it also gets meshed like they are picking it up from every other house in the colony as well, right? And then it goes into the garbage truck who's going to take it to the recycling facility or the sorting facility. So even in the garbage truck, at least for Mumbai, they haven't really differentiated or made it in a way that wet waste goes in a particular compartment or dry waste goes into a particular compartment. So even if I sort the waste at home, if in the transport truck everything is going in the same compartment by the time it reaches the recycling center. And this is also just keeping in mind that maybe I am doing it for my own house, but when I live in a colony, other people probably are not following it that strictly. So that is also another issue. But even in the garbage truck, as I said, like everything goes in the same compartment unless the garbage truck has, unless like the local urban local body has spent money into um, advancing or keeping their waste management supply chain up to date. So there are quite a few issues that kind of need to be solved. So circular economy is a dream, but implementation is a bit hard to kind of make it happen. It kind of requires participation of everyone in the process.
Okay, so I saw a video of this recycling facility in, I think it was in Italy. So it's like people can recycle plastic bottles that they have. It's like a machine. So they can and like put the plastic bottle, it scans the barcode and they get points and they can use it to buy things. So do you think something like that would work in India?
To be honest, no. What I feel will happen is, for example, there was a company called Vogo. Um, so what happened in my area in with Vogo is, so Vogo is basically like Yulu bikes, where you download an app, um, and then you pay in advance. You say how long you want to use this electric bike for, and you use the bike. And in case you cross your limit, the bike stops on its own, but you need to like recharge through the mobile app in order to continue using the bike. So me and my brother just used to, in the middle of the night, if we were just bored or anything, we would just book these bikes and just roam around randomly. But what ended up happening is that they shut Vogo bikes in our area because the bikes were being dismantled and material was being taken out. So I think it's a bit hard to do that in India because unless there's supervision on the particular machine or there are cameras on it, I think there would be a tendency to probably like for a waste picker, each bottle I think is worth like, I'm not really sure about the exact price. But each bottle has a price. So if they, not each bottle, sorry, like a dozen of the bottles have a price. If they are able to pry it out and kind of get all the bottles that people are submitting, and also if there are coins or something inside, if you are able to unlock the machine and kind of take those coins out, I think that's likely what I feel will happen. That people will either try to take the bottles out or the reward out. So
Okay.
it depends on the area in which it's set up. Because Vogo bikes shifted from like the Mumbai suburban to like South Bombay, which is like the more posher side of town.
Mm. Okay.
Yes.
So, while we're on the topic of a circular economy, what do you think are the main challenges that make it difficult to transition from linear to circular? I mean, you obviously talked about, like right now, you talked about the bike situation, but maybe something more.
Um, I would probably say it's there's just, if I have to sum it up, it's just lack of awareness on the consumer side. The second thing is there needs to be more investment into uh making the supply chain up to date with what is happening in European countries right now. And then the third thing would be a manufacturer would have to take more responsibility for um, the goods that they are producing. And I think it's probably these three things that kind of stop us from getting into like a circular economy.
Okay, so I want to ask you something like when we come to this topic of waste disposal or anything like that, especially in India, do you think it's like people not having civic sense or is it the government not implementing policies strictly? What is it?
It's to be honest, it's both. I think like the government cannot get into your house and segregate the waste, right? So I think each household kind of has to take onus in order to have the waste segregated. I think that's one. Then when it comes to the other thing is like if the government is more strict about implementing their policies, then that would mean that companies will be more liable to pay penalties again and again, and the penalties also have to be higher. So when a company thinks about it, they think about it probably from an angle that is paying the penalty cheaper than actually making the change in our work. So if the penalty remains cheaper, and if the government is also not implementing this cheaper penalty, there's no price that the company is actually paying. So I think both of these points go hand in hand. Um, Another part also is like almost I would say 95% of the plastic that is existing is recyclable. Um, the only thing is like let's say for example Mumbai does not have um the capability to recycle X plastic, and the capability to recycle X plastic is only there in Pune. So it's a waste of money to send the X plastic to Pune just to get it recycled. Because in order to even send that X plastic to Pune, you have to actually sort it and get like collect like the X plastic. So setting up capacities in every city, or at least in a region that makes it easier for plastic, like for waste to be transported there, I think that is also another aspect that the government needs to build upon. Because even if I segregate it at home and let's say everything goes perfectly, um, what's the point if it's still going to end up in a landfill just because my city does not have the capability to recycle the particular kind of plastic?
Yeah, I think what you said is so true, especially the people not having civic sense. Because if you see in European countries, everybody is so considerate and conscious of their surroundings. There's a dustbin everywhere, and they make sure to throw the litter in the dustbin and not anywhere outside. So, yeah.
Like in your, so I went to quite a few European countries last year. Um, like I would say Italy and Germany are the one, like the two that stand out. Like I would say India also has dustbins everywhere, and people are more inclined to throw it in a dustbin. But the sense to sort it is not really there because awareness is not really there yet. Because in um so the way that I've at least seen it in Germany is that they have um particular days in which a garbage truck would come. Like on Wednesdays they would collect X, on Thursdays they would collect Y, and there's a like instead of the person coming to your house and collecting it, you have to go to the garbage bin where where you actually do the sorting. Like there's a particular container for putting your glass stuff in. There's another one for wet, there's another one for plastic. So I think that initiative kind of is again goes hand in hand. Like if the government takes it up and implements it, then consumers and manufacturers have no choice but to follow it because it's government regulations. If they don't follow it, then they face consequences, and then they kind of decide whether the consequence is worth taking for them or not.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so climate change is such a complex and it's a very urgent thing, I believe. So, how do you stay motivated in being in such a field?
Like first, I think is y'all both. Because like to be honest, it feels good to kind of just see that there are other people who are taking initiative. And when you see younger people also do it, it kind of makes you realize like for them, like I am gonna turn 26 now. For example, someone is 18, someone is 17. They are more likely to face the worst effects of climate change than I am. Because it's just of the age difference and how every year it's the temperature is just increasing. So if that person has not given up yet, I don't think I should as well. And because to be honest, when I attended COP, I just felt very hopeless about like I felt like whatever I'm doing, me turning vegan. I was vegetarian for 2 years. Out of it, 6 years I was vegan. So I was like, me even turning vegetarian is of no consequence because the governments who can actually make large scale change and actually significant reduce it, for them, it did not seem to matter as much. Like I know they're getting on a conversation about it. There are nations that are pursuing it, but then there are nations also that are actively blocking it. Um, so it just feels a sense of disappointment that these guys know what is at stake, but are still choosing to not address it in the urgent, with like a sense of urgency that the climate crisis actually needs. So there is a sense of hopelessness, and for me, it's just seeing younger people and just being like talking to, like imagining a Sagar 30 years from now, looking back now and being like, what were you doing when even you knew what the issue was? So I don't want to have like a sense of regret that I did not do anything. And I just kind of want to ensure that at least like the next generation, we are making the place as habitable as we can. I think these are like the two things that motivate me. But
That,
otherwise, it's pretty hopeless. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, that's a good point of view to like outlook to have be looking
Yeah.
into.
What about y'all?
I mean, we all obviously want to try to make the world a better place, and I think Bhoomi Talks is one of the first steps which we can, at this age, which we can, you know, work towards it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
So you talked about attending the COPs, including the COP 28 and 29. What shifts have you observed in the youth participation and the influence at these conferences?
So, like, okay, so as I was saying, like at COP 28, I swear to God, by the end of it, I lost all hope. I'm not even lying. I was like, nothing is gonna happen. Let me live my best life. No one's gonna do shit about climate action because it has to come from governments. Okay. I had like a very, very, very negative outlook by the end of it. In those 2 weeks, it was pretty sad. But what ended up happening on the last day is like firstly, this is they extended negotiations by a day. Um and negotiations now are happening around 1:30. Okay, this is like the final negotiations. um there are still 40 to 45 young people that are still there in the venue around 1:30 a.m. And uh what a few of these guys decide is to create like a uh guard of solidarity, like how you have a guard of honor and then one team walks in. So they created, you could say, like a guard of honor for the negotiators, leading to the negotiating room that they were supposed to go into. But this guard of honor was more like a solidarity thing. Like it was like people were holding each other's hands and then they were holding their hands up as like young people are standing together. And that I felt was like a really, really powerful moment. I feel that, like, to be honest, I can't really describe it that well, but for me, that was like the highlight of COP 28, where these young people, like 40, 45 people, were still there. Like, although they were not part of the negotiations, they were still there until the end, and they tried to do what they could to like the best of their capacity, and they were not giving up. So I think just looking at other people actively working on it is like a source of inspiration that I kind of draw from. So when it comes from COP 28 to COP 29 and youth participation and engagement, I think one of the good things was like the Children and Youth Pavilion. Um, so it's a thematic pavilion that actually started at COP27. So I think now children and youth have a dedicated space at COP where they can host events, where they can just gather, where they can, come back at the end of every day, have a debrief, have something like care spaces, because um, care spaces is basically you come and you talk about how you're really feeling about negotiations every day and just kind of get support from everyone else. So it's great to have this space. But when it comes to negotiations, I think there's like more people should kind of view to attend COP with the mind that we want to influence negotiations rather than just come to COP for the sake of, hey, I attended COP. Because there are a lot of people, like young people itself, that come to COP but have no job over there. So they are roaming around, not sure what to do, and they kind of need guidance in order to, like, how can they best contribute? What can they do? Like, a lot of people are very passionate, but they don't really know what exactly to do or how they should contribute. I would recommend checking out MGCY, Major Group for Children and Youth, and YOUNGO. These are two youth constituencies. One is of UNFCCC, the other one is for United Nations Environment Program. You can join these constituencies and they'll help you guide you as to what are things that you can do in order to influence negotiations. Um, but when it comes to youth influence, just answering your question, is young people submit like a list of demands. These demands are kind of like thoroughly made. Like um there's something called Conference of Youth that happens in every country, that happens on a regional level, then it also happens on a global level. So these conferences basically collect input of young people as to what their demands are from COP this particular year, and those demands are handed over to the UN Secretary General every year, and they are then passed around to all of the negotiators that are negotiating on like the agreement, for them to take under consideration. So I think the influence of young people is growing every year, and I hope that it gets to a stage where it's taken really, really seriously. Because as of right now, the way it works is that we kind of have to ensure that uh, we are reaching the right people in the party. That the person that we are reaching to in the party actually cares about the opinion of young people. Because for these parties, they are representing their country and what is the best thing that they could do for their country. So like, how it is in a particular company, like even if we are job searching, we kind of need to find the right person who can um, connect you to either someone else who can help you get the job, or you get connected to like the hiring manager. So you kind of, in all the delegations of every country, you kind of have to find that one person who cares about the opinion of young people, so that they can internally push and try to get that opinion within their party, like within the demands of what their party has.
Mm. Okay. So we looked at the future generation, that is the younger generation who have to work towards the
Mm.
environment. But who are some climate leaders? Who are some climate leaders, or what inspired you to take up this role?
So to be honest, when I first ventured into the climate space, I wanted to do something like, I didn't even venture into the climate space. All of this just like one thing led to another. Um, so the first thing was education is like a sector that I'm very passionate about, because I feel like if I educate someone, then they have the power to change their own lives. So I kickstarted Climate Connect with the aim to just do education, but then a lot of people wanted to get into climate. Um, so then we just did climate education. So basically, it's a cohort-based program to help early career professionals enter the climate space. And now we are also doing like a mentorship platform um, for Indian youth. Because as of right now, also from India, we are looking at abroad as to how to make careers, what are career paths. But the Indian ecosystem for climate is also quite different. Just because you have cultural sensitivities, the sector is also new. Um, and it kind of just happened, and then I kind of realized, like, the more I got into the climate space, the more I realized that there's an urgent need to do things in the space, so I just remained working in the climate space. I don't really have like a very inspirational story behind it. It just happened by chance. When it comes to leaders in the space, they are, like, I would say Greta Thunberg is one for sure. um there's another guy called Bodhi Patel, who counts himself like a guardian of the oceans. Then there would be two other people. One of them is Amelia Turk. The other one is Romy. Um, if I pronounce her surname, I'm gonna butcher it for sure. So I'm not gonna attempt. But Romy and Amelia, they are a part of YOUNGO, and they are extremely committed to kind of ensure that the opinion of young people is heard. So the way that they do things is great. So I would say probably these four people um would be like the people that I look up to in the climate space that I know are doing like really good work.
Okay.
That's really great. Actually, how you just realized that rather than getting inspired from someone, the fact that you realize that, oh, the world needs to change and the environment needs to be considered, that's different. It's, you know.
Also, I don't think we really need an inspirational story or something like that, you know. It's great that you got into the field in the first place. Yeah.
Thank you. What about y'all? Like, what got y'all into the space?
Actually, for me,
I mean,
yeah, yeah. So for me, my dad, he's into this environment stuff. So in school, I participated in this, I think, 1,000 kg paper collection competition and like water bottles and all of that. So I was into this environment things since I think the ninth or eighth grade. So yeah, and then Sarah was also interested. So then we just started this.
I think it's mainly because our school is really committed to the environment. Like we had this one teacher, she was like, she used to do everything that was like that she could do to be more eco-friendly. She started this organic garden in our school and she started the eco club. So then it's like from a young age we were nurtured to care for the environment and take it into consideration.
And also, our school
Oh,
has one thing like if it's your birthday, then you bring a plant. I think that's like such a like that's so nice. So like I remember like bringing plants when I was I think first grade or something. I used to bring plants every year on my birthday. So yeah, I think that's something that's really great. You know, your kids learn. So yeah.
that's pretty cool. Like, just one more thing in negotiations also, they have like a very, like, term, like the way that you frame things really matter. Like for the plastic one, in that negotiations, they wanted to call, uh, they were deciding on what to call nature. So someone said Mother Earth, someone said like nature only, and then there were like two, three options, but people disregarded Mother Earth because they did not want to bring a emotional connect to Earth, because then it becomes like a very different uh ball game, like in the sense, because then, like, if you keep referring to the planet that we live in on as Mother Earth, then it kind of brings like a sense of like a need of protection and need to have like a connect, and then you kind of think also of Earth as a living entity, which I feel it is. So, like, terminology, it matters a lot. So I'm really glad that your teacher also started like a organic garden and got you all in from like a very early age, and you all were able to form that connection as well.
So as we come to the conclusion of the episode, When you think about the future, say 10 years from now, what do you hope to see in energy and sustainable space?
To be honest, like the only hope I have is that I know we've already crossed the 1.5-degree limit. It's already been 12 months since we've just gone higher. But in 10 years, I hope that the circularity rate is higher. In terms of energy, I hope that most countries that are even fossil fuel dependent have also have like a significant percentage of their energy coming from renewable sources, and that somehow we have managed to stick to the 1.5 limit. I think these are just my hopes for how the future would look like 10 years down the line. Because as of right now, with AI advancing every single year, I think it's advancing also pretty rapidly. I do not really know how the world will look like 10 years down. All I can hope is like the outcomes 10 years down are in line with what's there in the Paris Agreement.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Sagar. That brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your insights, and your incredible work in this field. And to our listeners, if today's conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and follow us for more stories. Until the next time, stay curious and stay conscious. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.